Hello, I'm Jack Canfield, and welcome to another segment of Talking About Success. My guest today is Judith Truestone. She is the co-founder and director of the Sage Writers Publishing, which gives voice to people behind bars. And she's the international director of the Global Kindness Revolution and the author of Selling, that's C-E-L-L-I-N-G, like putting people in cells, Selling America's Soul, the Global Kindness Revolution, how together we can heal violence, racism, and meanness. The Cat's Secret Guide to Living with Humans, which I know helps my kindness. I have 2 cats. And she's also a filmmaker, and her films include Soothing and Nurturing Human Spirits, Healing Justice, A Journey into Shadow America, and How to Create a Kindness Circle, which is available on YouTube. Are these all available on YouTube or just the last one?
YouTube or our website.
YouTube or her website, which we'll give you information on just in a little bit. And you're the winner of several awards for all that work, which is wonderful because you do some amazing work in the world.
Thank you.
So let me start by asking you, how did the Global Kindness Revolution first get started?
Well, like so many things, it just kind of plopped into my life. I was preparing for a class in creative writing in a prison, and I found a pack of thank you notes in my desk that I'd never sent out. So I thought, well, let's try this. And I gave them each a note, and I said, if you see a fellow prisoner or a staff person doing something kind, right, thank you for your kindness, and give it to them and see what would happen. And they did it. And the following week when I came in, the guards in the schoolhouse were all females. And they came up and they were hugging me and saying, oh, Miss Judith, what have you done? And it's like they had this nanosecond of kindness. And it was so remarkable by contrast. So I was at that point working with a group of lifers. And I was telling them about this experience. And they said, that's what we need, kindness. We don't even know the word in here. So we worked together and created kindness cards as an antidote to violence. And they raised the money for the first printing and helped work with the words because we wanted to be not religious but spiritual and all-inclusive. And so I think we have about 100 and some thousand kindness cards in this country. We have a Spanish version, which I gave to somebody locally today, in 3 South American countries, and we're working on a Farsi translation and a German translation and Japanese translation. And you know, by next spring we hope to have the whole world involved. The whole point is this has grown to such a point where we've touched something very deep in people's souls, which is a yearning for kindness and for dignity. The focus of my book is on those people we tend to demonize. Immigrants, refugees, people in prison, their families, the disabled and the elderly, and mothers-in-law. And so,
So true.
a much neglected topic. I don't know why people are not exploring this, but it's a problem. And it's the last step of acknowledging misogyny, I think.
Yeah. Well, you have been really deeply involved in this. Why do you think kindness is so important? What is the importance of that?
Well, it elevates us as a people rather than degrade us, which seems to be the path we're on. It's good for your health. It raises your serotonin and oxytocin levels, and also those happy hormones of the people who receive the kindness and people who see it, observe it. Everybody gets healthier, and even people who read about it. And that's why when we give out the kindness cards, people just are remarkable in their response. In fact, coming over here today, the van driver and I got to talking, and she was, you know, what did I do? And I told her. Anyway, she's signing up to be the kindness ambassador to Santa Barbara.
I love it. That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Now, you're wanting to start a kindness revolution.
Yes.
Talk about why that's so important.
Well, because we don't seem to have values that are good for human beings, not only income inequality, racism, and the terrible darkness that's been released by politicians towards refugees. There's just, I mean, when you think about that little child walking, you know, washing up on the beach, this is not, we are not being the human beings I think we were meant to be. By the way, I heard one Native American guy say, we should demand that Americans all give us $500 each, and we will permit them to stay in this country. Isn't that a great idea?
A very small down payment for a lease.
Right. Genocide and all that.
Yeah, it's terrible. Okay, so what's new and unique about this approach that you're doing?
Right. Never before have we had an opportunity like this, and that is there are 7.3 billion people on the planet. If we can get 51% of the people to shift from meanness, fear, hatred, other, to a kindness lifestyle, basically, which is what a call to kindness at noon is. You pause at noon every day, take some clearing breaths, think kind thoughts, or do a kind act. And then it goes kind of around the world. But the way it's going to work is there are half of the world population is 3,743,000,000 or thereabouts. The math is not my thing. And 51% of that, if we can get that to happen, the magnetic force field that is the darkness that has America in its grip right now, and the world, the hatred and the otherness. So what we're going to do is ask everybody who has one to set their smartphones and computers for a noon alert. And we've never had that chance before. We have the social media now. 60 million people tuned into YouTube to see Kim Kardashian's butt. So this should be a piece of cake. So we also still have church bells in a lot of places. The Angelus that rang at noon and alerted everybody to, and lunch bells. And so there's a whole, in Arab countries, they have 5 times a day a public call to prayer. So there's centuries of precedent for this. It's nothing new. It's just taking it away from a religious focus to a universal light of kindness.
It sounds like we need some kind of ritual structure to bring us back, to remind us who we truly are and how we want to be. Isn't as I think about this and I'm listening to you, it seems like we just have habits that aren't the best habits.
Exactly.
And we need to develop new habits, like habits of kindness.
Right, and that's what the book is about, because I divide it very simply that we have within us a kind mind and a mean mind. I put it in very simple terms. And that the job of the individual who cares and wants to change and wants to have a kinder world is to do the inner work, because it all starts inside. So the book is a way to show you what's possible and what you have to do to get there. For instance, I have a chapter on, could I be a racist? And then another part is, well, if I am, do I want to do anything about it? And if so, what would I do? So I offer visualizations and inner work so that people can shift. As I say, you can hate your neighbor all you want, but if you'll have the courage to get out of your comfort zone and sit with your neighbor in a kindness circle, you may still hate them, but you won't hate them as much.
So what happens in a kindness circle, real quickly? Tell me.
Okay. First, we connect hands. We clear ourselves with 5 clearing breaths into the jaw, the armpits, the belly, the bottom, and the knees, releasing fear and anger out our feet. And then we draw down the universal light of kindness. I follow the imagery of Teilhard de Chardin, the French Jesuit, who said it's the web of life around the earth, and each of us dangles by a slender thread. So we're all connected. So we all feel, and we wonder why we feel so nervous and anxious all the time. Well, there are people being murdered everywhere on the planet, or being, put in trucks and welded doors shut and, becoming decomposed, 60 of them.
And we're feeling that energy as part of that web.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we can either say, oh, I can't do anything, or, and so then we draw up the light of kindness from above and the earth light, a light from the center of the earth from below, meets in our hearts, swirl it around. We have connected hands. We send the light around the circle, and then we draw in first our ancestors, and sometimes people get messages. It's really neat.
Cool.
And then we send this carpet of light out in every direction. We can have a specific focus, like I did one for women in the women's prison. And the women in prison knew we were doing it, but we were sitting outside many miles away, and we directed this light directly into the women's prison. But in general, we direct it to all prisons and all refugee camps and all politicians that they may be touched by rational kindness. I don't know. And so that's what happens. So we roll it out, and then sometimes we'll even work in the galaxy a little bit. And if an astronaut was looking down at the Earth while we're all doing this, it would look like the Earth was glowing with a light.
So basically, this is a meditation, visualization,
mindfulness,
expressing this energy out, and then that's it. Does it take very long? Or
oh no! I've done in and out in 20 minutes. In a public cafe, and it worked. People were levitating, and yeah, it was amazing. I think it's just a portal to another dimension. You know, we know about string theory and the 11 dimensions and all that.
So basically, if someone's running a kindness circle, they're then leading a group through this,
guiding them
process.
But the how to create a kindness circle on YouTube is the model they can use wherever they are, or they can just use it as a background while they do it. And once they get to do it and feel the energy, and you have to touch, you know, it's like having a beautiful lamp, but it doesn't shine because you haven't plugged it in. We've got to plug into each other. We've got to start thinking of ourselves as not Americans or Iranians or whatever, Syrians, but we are all, you know, connected as planetary citizens. And that's what I call myself, a planetarian.
Planetarian.
Yeah.
Very good. So what else would you like us to know?
Well, I would just like you all to join up. It requires no training, no money. This isn't a money-making thing. And they should look at my book and see if they feel comfortable trying some of the things I'm suggesting. There's the one example I use is back when we first invaded America, the native people had paths through the forest, and then eventually the first it was the animals, and the natives followed the animals' paths. And then people came and maybe, you know, made little roads or whatever, and that was fine. But then we got to the point where in the mid-50s we built the highway system. And those paths are deeply embedded in us, but they're not functional. They don't serve us anymore. Because when they built the highways, they had to blast through tunnels, build bridges over lakes. And so I'm talking about looking at our minds, our kind minds, as having that same capacity to override the mean minds who are still wanting us to follow those old dirt roads, and making sort of a super mind, if you will. I don't mean it in those, you know.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's good.
So.
Okay, I love it. I mean, you're bringing love and light and kindness to the world, and you're doing it in a beautiful way. I mean, you can look at your very radiant, shiny face. So I think we all want to be experiencing what that face is expressing. So if people want to find out more about your work, where do they go?
The website is www.trustonekindness.com.
Trust, O-N-E or the numeral
O-N-E.
Trustonekindness.com.
Yeah, I got that name when I was Trust One Truestone, when I was initiated into the Bear Tribe Medicine Society many years ago. Yeah, and so I was
Truestone and Trust One. There
that's right, because I wanted to affirm something whenever I use my name.
Yeah.
Although it means I get further back in the line than when my other name was started with a B.
Yeah. Well, I think trust is one of the important qualities and almost a prerequisite for kindness.
Absolutely.
So, very good.
And the first chapter is being kind to yourself. Because if you're not, you can't do anything for anyone else.
Exactly. And we can be very mean to ourselves, as we all know.
Yes, we are. We're our harshest.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, The Global Kindness Revolution is the book. Trustone.com.
Trustonekindness.com.
Trustonekindness.com. Make sure you go there. Find out. You can start a kindness circle wherever you are in your family, your community, your company, your school, your church, your synagogue, wherever it might be. I want to encourage you to do that because we need more light and love in the world so we all can thrive and flourish in terms of manifesting our full potential. So thank you for joining me today.
I'm delighted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, stay tuned. We'll be back with more.